Good morning, everyone. Welcome to 2023. Look, we're so happy to have you all here, cohort 16. Some of you are new, some of you are not brand new. You have just started another cohort through continuation, or maybe have added on another school system. We want to say thank you so much for doing that. But we're about ready to get started. If you have not already done so, you know how our sign-in process is. If you would just put your name and your site and your LEA or CBO. We're trying to get a little bit more specific so we can keep in line with everybody. So if you don't mind, if you haven't already done so, put your name, site, and if you are an LEA, the name of your LEA. If you're CBO, the name of your CBO. Get started. We'll give you a few minutes to do that, and then we'll be ready to get started. Okay, and then I guess we're ready to get started. Welcome to the 2023 year. I pray and hope all of you all had a fantastic break, able to spend some time with your family and friends. I don't know about you, but I'm experiencing grandmotherhood, and it is wonderful. Okay, it is like the best thing in the whole wide world. So I had a blast. It's so nice to have all that wrapping paper, all around and there, and then you just look at the father or the mother. Y'all need to get that up, don't have to do that anymore. All that good stuff. So I tell you what, it was truly a blessing though, to just be able to participate in that with my family and with some of my friends. And so we want to welcome you this morning if you haven't already done so, and put your name, if you would, in the chat box, and let us know your site or sites. Some of you have multiple sites. And if you're an LEA, the name of your LEA or the name of your CBO. With that being said, I'm going to hand it over to my supervisor, Annette, so she can get on here and welcome you all in as well.
Hi, everyone. Well, I don't have grandkids, but I do have a zoo, I call it, my cat and my 2 Labradoodles, which make just as much fun climbing the tree and wrapping paper everywhere and getting into everything. So I too had a great holiday, and I hope you all did. Today we're going to go over the guided planning. Alicia is going to lead us, and we will all chime in here and there. The main component we want you to follow today and really take good notes on is everything that you received the grant under when you applied and you created your application under the RFA guidelines. That's what you're going to stay with for the next 3 to 5 years. You won't have major changes that occur. You have to stay in that alignment because that's what the funds came down from the federal government through the state to you. So we want to make sure you're aware of that. You understand how to align the components, how you prepare for compliance monitoring coming up, and then how do you make it really project-based learning and excitement, and it doesn't really look like the school day and sitting there and just in front of a computer doing study hall. So we're going to guide you through that, not just today, but the 17th, the 24th, the 31st, and on. And then remember, today we also have our 3:30 to 4:30 professional development training that will really help you as a follow-up to this. So Alicia, I'll turn it back over to you.
Yes, we can see it now.
Alicia, I think you're on mute.
Okay, thank you. I keep forgetting to take that off. Okay. Today, when we go through the guided planning, through the implementation of the RFA, we're mostly talking about the request for the application to get the grant, how it was approved from us. Now we're going to talk about how it's going to look in its production when we see it with when we come into the operations of the building and the type of documentation that we are going to be looking for. So we're going to go ahead and get started as we go through this process. If you have any questions or you need some clarification of anything between my LSD team, Annette and Rebecca and Ellen and Angela, they'll let us know if we need to pause. And then you may hear them chime in from here throughout the presentation as we talk about it, just in case I might need to clarify or maybe give some examples a little bit more as we go through the process of this presentation. So this is our team. If you have not already met us, Annette, who just spoke previously, she is the actual administrator for the 21st Century Grant through the state. I am a federal program specialist. Rebecca, Dr. Rebecca Pines is one of our new 21st Century Program specialists. Rebecca, did you want to say anything before we get started?
Just good morning. Good morning, everyone. She's already introduced me, but I'm not going to prolong. I'm gonna let her go on and continue.
Then we have our TAs who we thoroughly need. Ellen Martin and Angela Strickland. I'm sure you all have had conversations with them, but if you see that there are two areas that are highlighted in yellow, that is because we need two positions filled. If you know of anyone that's retired in education, teacher, administrator, whomever, and would like to give back to education through the 21st century, please let us know through Annette, and we'll be happy to have a conversation with them. Let's see, I don't know what just happened. Went off. Hold on just a minute, you all, I'm sorry.
And just a reminder, you should have your approved application beside you as Alicia walks through this. And if you need the compliance monitoring document or the RFA that you wrote your application around, just put that in the chat box and we will email it to you. But you should have your approved application with you as she walks through this.
Can you all see my screen now? You see it? Okay, all right. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. Okay. All right, so our agenda, we've already done our welcome. We'll talk about the purpose. We'll talk about the RFA, which is the actual application that was, I don't know if you actually wrote your application for the grant for your LEA or CBO, or if someone else did, but we want to look at that. Then we want to talk about how it's implemented. And we want to also look at the fact that we wanted to kind of prepare you for what the implementation part looks like when it comes to compliance monitoring. And so those areas that we're going to address today will be around student safety, transportation, operations, staffing qualifications, and professional development. And then we'll talk a little bit about some resources that we have available for you, and then address any questions or concerns. However, if you have any questions or need clarification, if you would just put in the chat box and we'll be able to move forward. All right, so our purpose today is to understand the RFA, which we have referenced as our application, and the expectations of its implementation through compliance monitoring. We thought that it would be best that if we address cohort 16 alone, separate from the other cohort 15, because they have, if they have not already had one at least, walked through or have gone through compliance monitoring. And it looks a little bit different from you all because you're getting what we call kind of like orientated to what the expectations will be on next year. You will not get the actual monitoring officially done or conducted by us, but you would have some conversations with your TA or amongst yourselves as far as what that looks like when it comes to compliance monitoring. So because you're cohort 16, you do not get monitored initially because we want you to get into your groove and find what works for you with your program. And then you will be begin official monitoring next year. Now, although you're cohort 16, you are going to be keeping up with documentation to support the implementation of this grant because you have been given the funds for it. So we just want to make sure that you understand the difference. So there's some tools we wanted to make sure that you have for this particular training. You should have your cohort 16 RFA. You should have your compliance monitoring document for fiscal year 23. Fiscal year 23 has some verbiage that that you're going to hear me talk a lot about, and I want to make sure that you understand which document I'm referencing to. So when you hear the word components, that's coming from your RFA, the actual grant that was written and approved for you all to receive the funds in order for you to have your program. If you hear me use the word standards, it is referencing to our compliance monitoring checklist. Your compliance monitoring checklist is really like the product. It has been simplified to those things that your RFA, things that have been put into the RFA, what documentation is going to be used in alignment with that to show that you are implementing it to fidelity. And if you're not, what can we do to make sure you get on track? So we want to make sure that you understand the wording on components and standards as we go through this. All right, so when we're talking about the RFA, there is an audience that you are addressing. And so that audience within the RFA is talking about the different types of data, different types of classifications as far as through surveys, through discipline, poverty rate, those types of things. Who are you addressing and why are you addressing it? So right at this time, I'm going to ask for you to click on the link in the bottom left corner of my screen, and it should open up to a document, and you're going to complete those few things that are listed on there. We're going to give you about, say about 5 to 10 minutes to do so. Open up your RFA that has been completed for you. We want to know from you, we're going to ask, we'll go in the chat and we'll pick some people to let us know if you were to look within component 2 of your RFA, and I'm going to show you. So if you were looking in your RFA and you wanted to look at component 2, excuse me. All right, component 2 is addressing your needs assessment. In your application, there was some information that the writer for the grant put in. And so on this document, we want you to identify those components within component 2. Then you're going to look for component 3 and do the same thing for 3, and component 4. You're going to do the same thing for 4. we want to spend some time going over this, because what we've noticed is that when we go to do a walkthrough or speak to a site director or program director, and we'll say, well, tell us a little bit about your grant, the RFA. Could you tell me a little bit about how it came about that you all this site was chosen to be here at this site, or what were some things that went on that you thought the 21st Century Grant would be useful? Well, this information will come from here, and a lot of times, unfortunately, due to maybe unforeseen circumstances, or the fact that the person that is a site director or even a program director hasn't had their hands on their RFA and may not know this information. So that's the rationale for doing this. So at this time, we'll go ahead on and let you complete that.
I've clicked on the link and it just comes up to a blank kind of page. I don't know where I'm supposed to complete this.
You see the components on the page when you
I
click on it?
do. Where do I
Oh,
complete that? Where do I?
I'm sorry, you need to download it, or you need to just print it out. Because
But
I
I
didn't
don't
give
have, so
you
I
don't
don't have
have
to
it.
type it out for you anywhere
No,
on chat.
ma'am. You can just write it on a piece of paper. This is for you all
Okay.
knowledge, and then we're just gonna
Okay.
share out.
Okay, just I thought I'd missed something. Thank you.
Oh, you're good. Thanks for saying that. I meant to say that earlier. Thank you. Yeah, it's not gonna allow you to type on it. Becca, would you mind being our timekeeper? But we got about 8 more minutes. For those of you who may not have been able to click on it, Rebecca says she put the link in the chat. For component 4, you all, you can just choose one goal that is going to align with a measurable objective in the strategies. So you'll have multiple goals, but you can just choose one that you would like to share out. and then the objective to reach the measurable objective to reach the goal, and then what strategies were put into the application to reach the goal. Yeah.
You all have about 4 more minutes. Okay, Alicia, we have 1 minute.
While we're waiting on that 1 minute, well, I don't want to talk. I don't know about you. If somebody's talking, I'm writing, and then that doesn't go well with me. I'll be quiet.
Yeah. Okay, the time is up.
Okay, so first, let's just see if we have any volunteers who would like to share their components. We don't want to spend a lot of time here, but we just wanted you to make you aware of the information that that is needed when it comes to the RFA. So anybody, just chime on in. Just come on in.
I don't care to share. So for component 2, I'm with Sheffield City. So that's our grant name, the side of our name. We have 3 schools: Threadgill Primary, Ellie Wilson Elementary, Sheffield Junior High School. Our poverty level is around 82% district-wide. And from the survey results, the overwhelming thing is parents indicating a need for quality childcare for after school, and also a need for targeted remediation in summer. Discipline from the schools that we serve, our SIR report, we had 811 incidents listed with 281 days of alternative school placement, 362 days of out of school suspension, and a little over 1,000 days of in-school suspension. So that's from our component 2.
Good, keep going.
All right, so our component 3, again, I've already mentioned the schools already. Sheffield City, physical location, it's each of the schools is a site. And we serve grades K through 8. And then component 4, just one of our goals was to have an improved attendance rate. So our attendance was an area of concern from the past couple of years. So our objective is to have at least a 90% of our regular students, those that attend at a higher level, to have an increase in their attendance, as evidenced through teacher survey and also through just evidence of the data from Power School. We run a report there to check that. And so some of the strategies are hopefully through the STEM programs, through the extracurricular activities that we're doing as a part of our after school, that will encourage the students to be there as part of the school day, through those activities that will hopefully keep them engaged.
Very good. That was very, very well said for us to understand. Anybody else would like to share out? We'll do one more.
Good morning. I don't mind sharing.
Okay, thank you.
I'm Tammy Britton, and I'm in Limestone County. Our component 2, our district is Limestone County, and the school I work with is Sugar Creek Elementary, and we have 62% poverty rate. Survey results, our parents just want to make sure that they have academic support in the program, because a lot of our parents don't know how to or cannot help the students once they come home. And in the previous year, we had 21 students out of about 650 who had been suspended or expelled. Component 3, again, it's Sugar Creek in Limestone County. And we're right at the Tennessee border. And our school is serving kindergarten through 5th grade. And component 4, One of our goals is to provide academic enrichment and remediation. And the measurable objective, our students take the STAR test for reading and math, and we said we want to focus on the students who attend 30 days or more, and we want to see an increase by 5% from the fall testing to the spring testing.
The grant lists any strategies of how they were going to try to reach that objective?
Yes, the teachers are going to work one-on-one with the students. We've got games and different activities they're going to pull in, not just sitting there and talking to the kids. They're going to work with their peers, and then we also have our student helpers that will work with them also.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for sharing out, the both of you. Because what we found is that sometimes, whatever the circumstances may be, you may have a conversation with the site director or the program director, and they're not able to kind of fully give us information about the grant. And this really is just kind of want to make sure that you all know, if you don't have access to your RFA, just either ask your program director, or you can email, put in the chat that you would like a copy because you don't have access, and we'll get back with you in the email. Just put your email address and your name if you don't actually have your RFA. But this is a public site where you can see the your application for your particular site, for your sites, because we're using federal funds. So, just wanted to share that. All right, good job, everybody. Can you see my presentation again? Okay, very good. So how are we going to implement? We just finished talking about our audience. We just talked about making sure that we know who we're serving. And then we also talked about how we're going to reach the needs of who we're serving through those components 2, 3, and 4. Now remember, components 2, 3, and 4 are coming directly from your grant. So now we're going to talk about implementation. So you've got your RFA, components 10 through 13 is what we're going to address. So if you have your RFA, you want to turn to the area that says components 10 through 13, and then you have your compliance monitoring. The pages that you would find the different components that we're going to talk about are listed here, and the pages that you will look on your compliance monitoring document to address these areas are found here as well. So when we're talking about student safety, on the compliance monitoring aspect of it, we want to see your documentation as to how this is being addressed. So let's look at the compliance monitoring document for just a second. Can you all see that? Oh. Can you see, the compliance? Okay. All right, this is not easy, and this is the wrong one because we changed it. A second. You see the document now? Okay. I'm so sorry. I had the wrong one pulled. All right, so this right here is just showing what will be completed by whoever comes out to do your checklist, even if it's just a checklist by the TA who's coming out there to assist. But we want to concentrate on the pages that I just mentioned, dealing with safety. Found on page 16. Ready. So if you notice right here in gold, it says safety at the top. That's how you know you're in the component. I mean, you're not in component, you're in standard 3. This is standard 3, safety. Right here is going to be a 10A, 10B, C, and D. These are your standards. The information that says required for all programs, this is non-negotiable. This is comes from us, from ESSEC, that's coming straight from the United States Department of Education, that if we agree to use these funds, that these are the, we have to answer these questions. Then the area over here to the right is talking about the documentation to support each one of these areas. So when we're talking about safety, the documentation to me gives you a clear picture of exactly what you would need to be working on throughout the school. I don't want to say school year, but throughout the academic year for the after school program. So when you have the parent handbook, it's going to ask you to, and we have what is called Cognitive, those of you who do or do not know, where you will upload this particular documentation. Sections from the parent handbook that's addressing, and the documentations is telling you specifically what those areas are. So anything regarding signing students in and out of the program, or visiting, coming in to do a visit in the program, you want to only pull out those pages and upload it into this actual standard in Cognia dealing with 10A. And then you also want to have documentation that talks about the staff handbook. Well, once again, we're talking about safety. What are the outline procedures and expectations when students are being signed in and out? What are your procedures for that particular area? And then you want to have a couple of samples to support the safety procedures by having where you actually see sign in and sign out sheets. Now, some of you may still have penmanship for parents, and some of you may have a technology of some sort, but it would be addressed in your handbooks, and you will have samples of that to upload. One of the things we want to talk about is that when you are addressing your staff, you want to orientate them on your safety procedures, and you want to make sure that you hit specifically those areas that are addressing what we're talking about with safety in this component with your staff. When it comes to documentation, one of the things that is a non-negotiable are sign-in sheets. Sign-in sheets are going to validate the fact that you actually had the meeting, you actually had the orientation, because you could have a typed agenda, you could have a PowerPoint, a handout, but how do we know it actually occurred? So to support that documentation or that process or that orientation did occur, you want to make sure you have a sign in and sign out sheet. Some of the other things, if you see where it says minutes and notes, it says the word optional. That's okay, because you can kind of get a gist of what the meeting is about is through your agenda. But you want to make sure that you, even if your memo or announcement was an email that was sent out, that's your documentation to support that it did occur. The next section talking about the security of the facility. You want to make sure that you have your documentation to show how do you make sure that the facility is secured at all times. What documentation do you have to support that? Make sure you have copies of your inspection records that are taking place. And then those of you who have a safety department or who your safety person is, this is where you would get that information from. You can use a photo to show that the fire extinguishers are up to date as they should be for the site. So the documentation section on the compliance monitoring document is actually supporting the components of the RFA. And now we're just saying, this is what you would need. I want to intervene right here and just make sure you all are fully aware that the platform that we use, Cognia, to upload your documents, there is a section in there that says that you can use links, but because of the way our Cognia is set up here at the State Department, please do not use links, such as Google Doc links or anything of that nature. It would need to be in a Microsoft Word format when we get to talking about uploading documents, but I want to go ahead and so you can make notes of it. Or you can have it in a PDF. Really, the PDF is probably your best bet. I would go with that because you can't alter the document. But when as you're collecting and saving your documents, that's what you want to make sure that you do not save them in that type of platform. So we want to keep it in a PDF or Microsoft document. Other areas that are addressing safety, 10C and 10D. 10C is basically wanting to know your safety plan. What is your safety plan for the after school? What is your safety plan for the summer? A lot of times we have a mix up with some of the grantees who think that they can just upload whatever the school does for their safety plan. We cannot use that because that's not the same personnel. You don't have the same procedures because those same people are not there. So it's important that your after school safety plan reflects who's actually the personnel that's there is going to be actually in charge. And the summer safety plan is going to look different too, because you have different people work in the summer than you do in the after. You want to also make sure you have your medication administration plan. Also, we want to talk about, did you have once again, it's talking about your staff training. Did you meet with them about these particular areas? So this is letting you know that you go over your safety plan with your staff. So when you do your documentation, you will have your agenda, your meeting announcements, your sign-in sheets that'll reflect on the agenda that the school safety in the summer and the medication administration plan was discussed, or the staff was orientated to that. So your safety plans, and when we're looking at your documentation, excuse me, we're going to be looking to see, is the safety plan in the staff handbook? Have all the staff receive copies of the safety plan? How do you document that? Well, I'll just share with you what I did when I was in the building, when I had to share my safety plan or staff handbook. I had them to sign off, and on the sheet, it just said, this documentation supports that the following personnel received the staff handbook, which included the safety plans on such and such date. And when they signed off on that one sheet of paper, that covered my documentation to support that they had received it. You only need about 2 people on your staff to have had CPR or first aid certification per site. So just want to make sure you know that.
Alicia.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, can I interrupt you? There was a message placed in the
Okay.
chat box from Renee. She wants to, I guess, see a copy of the safety document.
Okay, so I can share with you one of mine, and then if you need that, I have like a one that was created that shows what is in it. Let me pull it up.
I think she's specifically talking about the ADA compliance checkbox on the actual document, just for ADA compliance.
So if I'm not mistaken, Annette, the ADA compliance is coming from the housing of the building. Say for the LEA, it's going to come from their safety people, that's not something that the site would help. You would have to get in contact with your district to get that information. If you're CBO, then let's just say if you Boys and Girls Club, then the Boys and Girls Club would need to show that information. Correct? Am I right?
You are correct, that in order to have any kind of building site, whether it's a school or a gym or any kind of site, they have to be approved with their ADA compliance. So there's a form somewhere with somebody within your school district or within your organization that has a form that shows that you're ADA compliant. ADA compliant means that you allow for people with disabilities to be able to get around, whether it's in the restroom or whether it's ramps or things like that within your site. So that's what that means. If you need more clarification on that, can reach out to any of us and we can pull up your application and pull up your site and see what we can help you with.
And some of that comes from the fire department too. Usually it's connected with the fire department's checking with the ADA. So, and again, you know, your maintenance department of your LEA should have that, just from my experience.
Right, and if they don't, or it's extremely old, I highly suggest you have them with your maintenance department or whoever that person is, come back out and do a full new assessment, whether you have defibrillators or fire, you know, sprinklers, whatever it may be, but have them come back out and do a full assessment and update it for you.
Do I still need to share the document, or do you all want us to just have it available? We could probably just put that document on the 21st Century site.
Yeah, I think the question was answered. She said thanks in the
Okay.
chat box.
Great, great. Any other questions? We good? We want to move forward? All right, so within the safety plan, it's going to tell you how your safety drill documentation and monthly fire drills are to be placed in that document, to include your weather drills. All of that needs to be completed. If you have buses, there has to be a bus drill, even if if they're just for the summer program. You have to show that you're doing your bus drills, as well as lockdown or intruder drill. And it tells you specifically how many to do. So that information is there for you. Now, 10D is dealing with transportation. If you have transportation within the LEA, the LEAs or the district have this information that you can gather from them, or you can reference that the LEA has this information. However, if you are a CBO and you're using buses, then you would need to, if you're using buses through the LEA, you can still go that route. But if you have your own buses, like for instance, I've seen a couple of grantees who are using charter buses for their students to get home from the after school program and picked up and brought back home during the summer program. So they will need to make sure that this information is uploaded. You would get with them, and then I would also get with the LEA of who you're going to be transporting those students to make sure they're in compliance with this specific transportation or vehicle information. All right, so that's dealing all with safety. Do we have any questions on the safety part? Our other area that we're going to talk about today is called personnel and financials. And if you look in your document, that's going to be on page 18 of a compliance monitoring, and then it is addressed in the RFA on pages 26 through 28. So I'm going to pull this back up. Okay. So let's go ahead now into personnel and financials. And this is with your part of it. We won't go into all of it, but we'll go into the personnel. When it comes to standard number 11, they want to make sure that we have done a thorough check in making sure who we have employed have job descriptions, They have the appropriate job titles as referenced in the RFA. And we have a sample of how we had them to complete an application to be a part of the 21st century. So this information is the documentation that you would need. Please note that when it comes to the 21st century personnel, we truly want you to use the identification that has been identified in the RFA. If for whatever reason you choose not to do so, and you change, if you were to say building administrator, and that really is your site coordinator, then we want you to make sure that you put in parentheses so that we can align it with the RFA, that this person is actually serving in the capacity as a site coordinator. Or however, if you have students that are assisting, or if you have people that come up, retirees, I've seen a lot of retirees in the grant. Well, how will we know? Are they volunteers or they're actually staff? So we would need to know how they are identified in correlation with the RFA. The RFA has given us some job descriptions but you should have your own job descriptions for these individuals that are applying, because they would need to know their responsibilities as it serves under that particular job description. So this information is going into Standard 11. You want to make sure that you upload the policy that the district has when it comes to background checks, and what you have, and is included in your staff handbook. You want to also make sure that you all have a statement in your handbook that you all have a way of verifying all the information in this last bullet. So it says, while on site, the monitor is going to, that will be either the TA or ALSDE from my level, will verify all employment applications, background checks, fingerprints are maintained and filed accordingly on site. So you want to make sure that that information is locked in the area, but that you have collected. It should not be digging or looking for. So go ahead and begin that process if you have not. And then Standard 12 is talking about timekeeping policies. So when we are documenting our timekeeping, we want to make sure that we have those procedures and how we're going to do our timekeeping in our staff handbook. So that's another additional information to make sure it's in your handbook. And when it comes to timekeeping procedures, you want to also make sure you address the following things in your orientation. So you want to make sure that you let them know about the orientations meeting. So you'll have a document of that. The agenda needs to have that you're going to specifically talk about timekeeping. It must be a line item on the agenda. Once again, you got sign-in sheets. Don't forget your sign-in sheets. You have minutes and notes, but those are optionals. But the other three really are crucial to making sure that we have documentation to support that it actually occurred. Standard 13 is talking about administrative leadership. What's your chain of command? You should have a chart showing who reports to who and their names along with their job description or their job title. You want to also have the administrative staff list and outline their duties and responsibilities, their job descriptions. You want copies and list. This is really important. Copies of timesheets and personnel activity report. This is specifically saying for administrative personnel. So that includes your site director, your program coordinator, your person that does your easy reports, who your secretary is, your bookkeeper, anyone that is providing services under the administrative personnel are responsible for having a timesheet completed when they are going to be paid through 21st century funds. Also, the administrative cost worksheet, you would put a copy of that is already uploaded in EGAP 2.0 on the document library. You're going to have that in this area as well. Any questions about any of that so far? because some of the common areas that I've concerns that we have with standard 13 is that a lot of our administrative personnel didn't know that their secretaries or bookkeepers needed to keep a timesheet. So yes, if they're being paid through 21st Century, that is a requirement.
Alicia,
Yes.
there's one thing I just wanted to reiterate when you were talking about the positions as far as the teachers, well, actually, as far as the student aides or the teacher aides, one of the things that I'm noticing a lot is that a lot of the grantees are simply putting aide, not indicating whether it's a teacher's aide or student aide. And I want to say that that part is important, especially because if it's a student aide and they are working, you know, they cannot work alone with those students unless they're age 21 or older. So we need to be able to identify whether this is a teacher's aide or student aide. So that's one of the things that I've been noticing a lot on a lot of applications. So that's one thing I think people really need to, or the grantees really need to focus on when they're indicating the types of aides that they have within their program.
That's very important because we want to make sure that we would love for our students to participate. I think this is a rewarding program if students give back to other students, but we definitely have to make sure that they are in alignment with safety measures by having another adult in their presence when working with students. So thank you for bringing that up, Rebecca. All right, so let's go on to standard 14. Here we're talking about funding and whatnot. We're going to pause here because even though this is saying financials, we'll go more into details later when it comes to financials. But the biggest part is that we wanted you to understand the responsibilities when it comes to the personnel part, and especially our administration who's working as in an administrative position. Let me make sure I've covered. Yeah. So the other parts of this will be discussed at a later date. But you're more than welcome to continue to read on it at your own time when it comes to the implementation of the compliance monitoring. So, you know, this is your guide. This is almost closest to the Bible when it comes to working with this grant. If you're not sure what is expected of you, then the documentation will definitely outline what it is. So some forms and resources that we want to make sure that you are aware of on the 21st Century's website under toolkits, you will have the lesson plan template. And you'll also have the compliance monitoring document. You'll also have cohort 16 RFA there for you to look at. And you'll also have the operations manual, which is in the process of being revised right now, but we wanted it to be there so that you will have access to have an idea of the expectations of the operations and runnings of your program. You all were recently, not too long ago in December, trained on lesson plan training. So we have uploaded that site for you to go, which is up under the area for the YouTube at the bottom of the screen of the 21st Century site. And you can see different recorded trainings that have occurred for 21st Century, but the lesson plan and training is there in the event that you just need a retooling or maybe you missed it. Also, another great resource is your U for Youth, Y for Why. We are just happy to know that this is a free site because this comes directly from the United States Department of Education with the 21st Century grant, and they have just a multiple of resources that addresses different aspects of the program, but we really wanted to draw your attentions to the lesson plan resources and the professional development where you can earn credit. Also, I didn't list it, but another area that I like when I went on there, it's the operations. Like it really gives you templates and ideas of things that you can use to better organize or set up your program. But do know, anytime you have any questions about any of those resources, just let us know. Our last resource is the Alex. If you're not aware of it, Alabama has what is called Alex Alabama Learning Exchange. This site will actually give you lesson plans already created, as well as those components that are required for lesson plans. It will even have the evaluation that you can use for the students to show that they understood the lesson that was taught, as well as suggested field trips or even library books or hands-on projects and whatnot. And it's already sitting there. So that's another resource that we wanted to bring to you all's attention.
Alicia, I'm sorry, I just want to cut in. There was a question. Do you mind going to the 21st Century website and showing them how to get to the compliance monitoring document?
Okay. Erica.
Yes.
Do you mind walking us through that process, please?
Yes. So
Yeah.
go up here to the right where you see the 3 lines. And then go to grantee forms.
Make sure I was correct. Yes.
And so in this, most of them are in the 21st Century Operations folder, but there's also like, and you can scroll down because a lot of people are like, oh, well, I only see 4 things. No, it's a whole bunch of stuff. And the compliance monitoring documents are in there. There was also one that said C16 resources. The other folder, go click the grantee resources. Yeah, that down box, and then grantee resources. And then it'll take you back. Oh no, that didn't do that. You're moving too fast. Go back and click the folder. And then hit grantee resources.
Okay.
Right. So C16 resources. This is some of your trainings that we're doing. I'm putting those right there. That's the timeline and the training sheet. And then if you go back, there's conference resources. That's where I'm putting all the slides for this, that we're doing right now. Like Alicia's slides will be there by Friday. And then the videos will be on the YouTube page. And while we're here, we'll show you where the YouTube page is.
Okay, I'm sorry, Erica. One other thing before we move on, if they looking for something specific, up in the top right-hand corner, there's the search key or the search little hourglass. You can type in exactly what you're looking for right over on that right-hand side, and it'll take you directly to it.
Yes, exactly. If you're on make sure you do that when you're on the first folder, the grantee resources folder, and it'll search all of the folders that are under there.
Want me to
YouTube
show
is on the
this
bottom
one?
of each page where the little YouTube icon. And I'm working on getting that moved to a more prominent place, but I'm not the website guru, so I'm waiting on that to happen.
Alicia,
I've also put in playlists. If you click on playlists, then it'll show you like the last year's 21st Century training, like 2021 Alabama conference. So those are all the videos from last year. And then the 2022 21st, and I'll change that to 22-23 since we're still doing it. Those are the videos from this year. And then the other ones are the office hours. So I'm trying to make it simple for you to get to instead of just going through all the videos, but there's a search button on there also.
Right here.
Go down to where about
Here?
Yes.
Okay, so this will
just search
search
our
within
page.
our area, right?
Yes.
Okay. Rebecca,
And
were
I'm
you
gonna-
saying? Okay. Go
I
ahead.
just wanted to chime in real quick. If you're looking for a specific form or you're feeling rather overwhelmed at the moment, I suggest you go to Y4Y, and they have webinars, they have anything on demand. specifically if I didn't really understand financials or whatever it may be. Also, you can download those forms and put your logo and the Alabama 21st Century logo. It is a free website. All the forms are free. Everything there is free. And then align it back to what we have and Erica has on our website here. But they are exceptional on everything they do and are way more extensive on what they can upload to their website than we are with ours.
Okay, any other questions? All right, so we just wanted to bring to your attention that on today, from 3:30 to 4:30, Y for Y is going to be on. And they're going to talk to us today about managing your 21st century grant or site. That's today, 3:30 to 4:30. I'm thinking, Erica, you have already sent out the link, right?
Yes. I
There
can
was a
send it out again today, just as a reminder when we get off.
And then, so if it's not required, but it's a resource. If you would like to get on and hear them speak about some additional assistance with management. So there, we have some required trainings we want to continue. You all received a list previously with the sign in. You were supposed to sign in through the link that was sent for each site. For each date, excuse me. These are we have 3 left and we'll continue to have the time from 9:30 to 11:30 when it comes to these trainings. Do you have any questions?
I want to thank everybody for being on and Alicia for
I have a
presenting. And
question.
hey, Hector.
Hi there, Nick. Happy New Year. When you were covering the e-proof uploading the documents, and I'm checking it, and right now it's still showing the 21st Century Learning Center School Level Diagnostic 2122.
Okay, do we have time? I can show everybody to make sure we're on the same page.
Well,
Even though
I don't see a 2022-2023 on there.
I know what I do. Hector, can we get together afterwards? Because
Certainly, yes.
you got cohort 15 that's going through compliance, right?
No, 16.
16 that's going through compliance?
Well,
Well, yeah, you do have to upload. Okay.
yes.
Let me see. Annette, do you want me to share or hold off on that?
No, go ahead. I was just on there looking under DCAB and I saw this year's that had loaded. I know they've had a lot of issues, but when I'm on there, I'm seeing everything.
Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, so after you log in, you want to put in your particular site. Hector, give me the name of one of your sites.
Floyd Elementary.
Floyd.
So it would be under the school, not the district.
Right.
Okay, that's my issue. I'm going under the district.
Right, you got to go by the school.
Okay, all right.
You see it?
I will once I get there.
Okay, so I'll just pick one and then I can take it off.
Floyd will be fine.
So we can go through the process. Okay, so like I picked Floyd Elementaries. And then I would go to diagnostic. Problems with Cognia earlier.
Alicia, while you're going on, there was a message in reference to the worksheet, but I put an answer. The worksheet that they completed today was basically for them to become familiar with the documents, and if they had any trouble with it, that they can reach out to us to help them look for those answers, or if they need if they need any help, they can reach out to us and we'll help them.
Okay. Thank you. All
They
right,
should be
so
able to use the mid-year template. It was kind of very similar to that, to answer those same questions. And that's already on the website.
your template from evaluators.
The mid-year template has to be completed by the program or site directors because it's like a check-in of are you doing what you put on your grant?
Very good. Okay. All right. So I just skipped over and found another school. So I put in 21st just to see, do I see anything listed? And I see no results. Okay. So then if I don't see it, I go to new diagnostic here in the right corner. Then I click on browse content library because I want all of the monitoring documents that the State Department used for the state of Alabama. You need to click on this tab. And then you're going to put in 21st again because there's just a large amount. Oh, I don't see. Okay. Annette, do you see this?
I don't know. I'll reach out to Vicky, because I like I said, I was just in there and I saw it. So
I did too. So Hector, and this is anybody else who needs to download for compliance monitoring, this is where you would go, but it's going to have, please make sure you click on the correct year. The only difference is this part right here. You should see the year 21, 22 there. And then when you click on the 22, 23 year, you're going to click on the actions and you're going to start it right here. And I'm going to do it, but it's the wrong year, but I'll go back and take it off. At any rate, when you get right here, and when you want to name it, you can. It's going to have 22, 23, 21st century community, and you can put your school's name at the end or at the beginning. And then the template, as you can see, I can't change that because that's showing this is the template that the State Department is using. To have to open it and actually start, if you notice, to actually be able to work in it, you have to click on Open Diagnostic. If you do not click on Open Diagnostic, you'll be just looking at information and you won't be able to work in it. So you click on Open Diagnostic. Lock means when you're done and you don't want anyone else to work in the diagnostic. But then when you come down here, you'll be able to see all of the standards that we just talked about right here. And I just finished speaking with cohort 15 about, those who are being monitored. I just did that earlier. When you are saving your documents, and this is just a heads up, remember, we're not doing them in Google Docs or any links. But if I were to upload my attachment, when I click on attachments and add my attachment, I want to make sure that I save all of my documents in alignment with my standards over here. So when I get ready to look up my standards, I will be able to do so by, when I get ready to upload my documents, I'll be able to do so by my standards. So my description or my file name that it's going to match this. It's going to say it's going to say academics because this is standard 1. And it's going to be found in 1A, just like over here when it's answering this question right here. So I want to make sure that as I am saving my documents that will eventually be uploaded into Cognia, that it matches the standard and the question 1A. And then I get ready to work on 1B. On 1B, I'll put academics again, but this time it's going to say 1B. So you want to save your documents and you want to do your attachment name for this particular uploading your documents to match. So there's no confusion. Another thing that we discussed is making sure you do not upload multiple standards in one standard. What I mean by that, make sure you don't put one A, B, C, and D all in one A. If you do that, you're going to get a concern or some kind of feedback that's saying to go back and clean it up and only upload that one particular standard, because that's multiple standards in one area. So you want to make sure that you follow it exactly as it's asking you, and don't put in extra information, because that means it's going to be returned and you're going to have to get it corrected. So just a heads up on that end. Hector, does that work for you?
It does. Thank you so much for your help.
You're welcome.
Thing again, Alicia, Rebecca had great input. Everybody who chimed in and kind of what you're doing. This process will take a full year to kind of get comfortable. So don't feel overwhelmed right now. We will guide you through the way. You have TAs. We're just trying to make sure you know how to align everything. And when you're moving forward, so when you get to the major steps like compliance monitoring and or external evaluators coming in, you understand and are prepared for that. You're not in a panic. It's like, oh yeah, we do that every day. We align our standard with our component and those kind of things. What we're going to do coming up in some future professional development that we have scheduled, we're going to walk you through a calendar of when do we do a mid-year report? When do we do continuing application? What are the deadlines? So that you can take that document and those timelines, put them in your calendar, meet with your staff and plan accordingly. So again, I don't want anybody to panic. I will tell you, it's a lot. It's a heavy lift. It's a great grant, but there are a lot of compliance, and we don't get to choose that as a state. We choose that, or we're given that from the federal government on how we have to monitor what you all do. So please reach out anytime you need us, and we are here for you. Rebecca, do you have anything you'd like to add?
I don't want to add anything right now, but excuse me, Midfield is asking about their TA. The only thing that I can tell you, Midfield, is that we are looking to find a TA. We have 2 vacancies, and at the beginning of this training, if you know of anyone, please, by all means, submit those names to any retired teachers, principals that are wanting to work still or continue to work with students on a part-time basis. We have those vacancies available. So if you know of anyone, please send them to us so that we can go on and hire TAs for those of you that are without a TA. I'm sorry. And in the meantime, for those of you that don't have TAs, Alicia and I are your, and Annette are your current TAs at this moment. So if you have any questions, please reach out to us and we will provide you with the answers to any of those questions that you may have for the TAs.
That's correct. We're all here for you. The other thing, I suggest you kind of get to know some of the people in your area or some people that have had multiple year grants and do things together, you know, meet as a region, meet as a mentor group to go through, hey, what are you doing about this? Have you filled out this form? And, you know, in my continuing application was sent back, and what happened with yours? How did you fill yours out because it wasn't sent back? So, you know, use each other to piggyback because you're not out there on an island, but also reach out to us or the other TAs. So again, thank y'all for everything. Our next training for this group specifically that is required is on the 17th. And then of course we have our great Y for Y training this afternoon from 3:30 to 4:30. And that occurs every second Tuesday of the month. So block your schedule off. You don't want to miss that at all. And if you're not receiving the emails from us or from Erica, please let us know, because we want to make sure you are in the know at all times. Hector, did you have a question?
think someone wanted to know when this will be uploaded for them to see, because they would like to go back and review it again. Erica, can you give us a timeline?
It should be on the YouTube page by Friday. So I'll send out the link on Friday.
Yeah. And we really appreciate Erica and our contract with TPI and all they do, not only on the data recording, but also with our website, updating the website and just moving forward to try to make sure we have everything that you all need. So if there's ever anything that you're not able to locate on our website or the Y4Y website that you think needs to go on our website, reach out to us, because we're here to try to give you all the tools and resources you need to be successful, and in turn, the kids to have a wonderful program. So
Annette,
have a good, yes, ma'am.
before you go, one more question. Were all site directors required to complete this training on today?
Yes, and that's why we had the login with the chat room. And should someone have maybe missed for an emergency or whatever may have happened, we will work through your TAs or through our office with that person on getting them trained and figuring out why they weren't here today. All right, well, we will see you this afternoon. I will say, Miss Alvis has done 2 Zooms in a row for the last 3 or 4 hours. And if we can all give her a high five and a good job, because she is fabulous in creating and presenting and has been on the spot for 3.5 hours now. So thank you very much. And Rebecca and Erica and everybody else who contributed. So have a good rest of the day. We will see you this afternoon, hopefully. And if not, we for sure will see you on the 17th. Thanks. Bye.